All right, so the first thing I want to touch on is actually something that I added on, what I just mentioned. I was going to put it on like Thursday's vlog or even on one of the vlogs for next week, but I feel like so many people right now are jumping to book flights that I feel like I should go ahead and put this out there now. I've seen a lot of people that have either decided that they're going to book their flight to get in the day of the cruise, or they're leaning towards that, or they're toying with the idea of it. And I'm here to tell you that I think that is a terrible idea. And like I said, I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I've seen some comment threads with people who work for airlines and people who are like flight attendants and that kind of stuff, who said that they've seen way too many people miss a cruise, not even just the Backstreet Boys cruise, just in their line of work. They've seen way too many people miss a cruise or the kickoff to a vacation or some major event that they flew in for that same day because their flight got delayed. Not only that, but people have said some very specific things about delays happening at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, which is the airport here in Atlanta where I live. If you're flying in from anywhere else in the country and you don't have a nonstop flight, like if you have like 1 or 2 stops, I'd venture to bet that one of those stops before you connect to Miami is going to be through Atlanta. I love my city. Atlanta's great. I love living here. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. But some of you guys who aren't in Atlanta, who don't live here, you may not be aware of this. We know this fact because like it's our city and it's our airport and we're like really excited and we love to say it. But Atlanta, I'm not making this up. You can Google it. It is the busiest airport in the world. It's busier than Chicago. It's busier than LAX. It's busier than JFK in New York. And I think part of that is because there's so many airlines that change or like connect flights through Atlanta. I think that's part of the reason why. But if you're coming from like Europe this way, Atlanta is kind of like, it's one of the gateways to America if you're coming via airline and then you connect the flight and go someplace else. If you're flying from Canada or from, north in the US or from out west, and you're going to like the Bahamas, or you're going to anywhere in Florida, or you're going to the islands of Puerto Rico or anywhere, and you have a flight that has to stop, you're probably stopping through Atlanta, which would make you think that we'd have our together and we'd be able to handle all of that volume. But this is the same city that shut down 2 years ago for half an inch of snow. So, we have a new mayor, so maybe things are going to be different. But knowing Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, I would not risk it, you guys. I would fly in the day before. If your reason for wanting to fly in the day of is to save money, I'm going to be 100% real with you guys. I'm blessed right now in my life, but I have not always been blessed. My very first Backstreet Boys cruise, guys, I almost didn't make it the day before the cruise. I was going to drive down to Miami. I couldn't even afford to fly, and I wouldn't have flown if I wanted to because back then I was afraid to fly. Now I love flying, and that's a whole nother story. But I was waiting for a kind of a bonus or a commission from my job to come through that was running late, that wasn't even certain. The sale that I had to close to get that check wasn't even certain until the morning of. And then they had to actually cut the check, and it was like a Thursday or a Friday. It was nerve-wracking. I almost didn't make it. I could barely afford to be there in 2011, you guys. This was 24-year-old Kim who did not know what she was doing in her life. I was struggling, but I managed to get myself down there the day before. If you're trying to save money, I'm so 100% serious. I am not going to judge you if you spend the night in the airport and then come to the port afterwards. If your whole thing is you can't afford a hotel, I would start looking at options for Airbnb to spend the night that might be less expensive than a hotel. You don't have to stay at Marriott Biscayne Bay, even though that's the preferred hotel for the cruise, because that's where a lot of fans are going to be staying. And initially they were able to get a discount through the cruise website, but you don't have to stay there. You don't have to even stay in Miami proper, guys. You could stay in Fort Lauderdale if that's less expensive. you can go a little bit further out and then just, you know, you're going to be spending money on like Uber or somehow some mode of transportation to actually get to the port from where you are. But if you're crunching the numbers, I don't know, guys, I would figure it out, even if it meant sleeping on a chair in the airport before the cruise set sail. I would do that before I would get down there the day of. I've never seen this because I've always been like already like comfortably on the boat, but I've actually seen quite a few people mention that they've seen fans running for the boat, not like they missed it. I don't know if anyone's actually ever missed it, but they've seen fans running to get on board, to get there in time before boarding stopped. And like once the cruise is like, no, the boat's not waiting for anyone, guys. They have a schedule that they have to keep. They're going. So I just, even if like you, let's say that worst case scenario doesn't happen and you don't miss the boat, but you're running late, you get there, you're sweaty, you're stressed, you're probably frustrated. Or somebody else brought up a really good point. What time are you going to have to get up in the morning to catch that flight to potentially miss your boat? So like how much sleep are you going to have had before you actually start this cruise? That you're not going to get any sleep on anyway. I just think that that would just be a horrible way to start your vacation. That's my 2 cents. But if there's any of you that have not already booked your flights that I can talk out of, booking for the day of, I would really, really, really want to do that. Sorry, I just got a message. Okay, yeah, Debbie, I did cover this in one of the last vlogs, but I'll go ahead and cover it now just in case people haven't had a chance to go back and watch that one. So Debbie had a great question. She said, is there transportation from Marriott Biscayne Bay to the port, and are there shuttles? The answer to that question is yes, there are shuttles. But like I mentioned in the video, I want to say it was vlog number 3 that I mentioned that I did not partake in the shuttle situation. Sorry. Got something in my eye. Me and the girls that I was with at the time, like we checked out of the hotel. It's already going to be a little bit chaotic because everyone's going to be checking out around the same time. And I can't remember if Marriott offers like digital checkout. If they do, I will be 100,000% taking advantage of digital checkout. I will not be fooling with that desk. But everybody's out front. They do have shuttles. I don't know if there's a cost to the shuttle or not, but what I do know is that it looked like chaos. They were basically just jamming people in groups onto the shuttles. You don't get to pick who you get to ride over to the port with. And the driver is gonna expect a tip even if it is free, and that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to be prepared to have cash for. As someone who like never has cash, that would have been an issue for me. What I've done every single cruise that I haven't driven my own car, which was only once or twice, I've Ubered from the hotel to the port. Some of you guys are hearing this information twice, but I cannot stress this enough. Uber is the way to go. And if they have Lyft, L-Y-F-T, they have Lyft in Miami, that's another option that you can use. So I know some of you are from, like not from the States or not from Europe, or maybe you're from a small town here in the States and you're not very familiar with Uber and how that works. Basically, Uber is a service that anybody can drive for. If you have a car that's like, I think like 2009 or 2010 or newer, you can drive for Uber and make money. Basically, it's a car ordering service. It's like a taxi service, but it's not a taxi. All of their drivers are background checked, so from that perspective, it's safe. It's just as safe as getting into a taxi cab or as getting into a shuttle. You're getting in with a stranger, but they are background checked. And basically, once you order the car from your location, like it uses your phone's, like, I don't know, digital footprint or whatever, your location to find you. You can actually, once you select the driver, you can actually watch that driver come to you. You can see where they are in their trip, if they've hit any kind of delay. It tells you what kind of car they're going to be pulling up in, what the license plate on that car is going to be, what the driver's name is going to be, and it's even going to have a picture of their face. So you know whose car you're getting into. what I mentioned in the last video about Uber that is actually really funny to me is after the first, I would say 30 to 45 minutes or so of people starting to check out and make their way from the hotel, particularly Marriott Biscayne Bay, because that's where most of us are staying. After the first 30 to 45 minutes of girls calling and guys calling for cars to take them to the port, you really don't even have to tell the driver where you're going. Your driver's probably going to pull up and they're going to say, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to, and they're going to say, stop talking. I know where you're going. You're going, and I know why you're going. I know it's a Backstreet Boys thing, and no judgment. I'm making money on this. Like, they're cool about it. But like, that's really nice because especially if you get a driver, which you most likely will, who's already dropped a few girls off at the port, you don't even have to have the stress of telling them which terminal at the port to drop you off at. Because if you've never been to the Port of Miami or any cruise port in general, and the Port of Miami is the biggest cruise port in the world. It's the biggest port in the world, actually, not just for cruises. It's huge, it's massive. It's a multi-billion-dollar facility. But Carnival has its own terminal at the port. And I also think that they have multiple terminals with like multiple different docks in case they ever have more than one Carnival cruise ship that's taking off on a specific day. So you're gonna have a terminal, and then it's also gonna have like a letter that's associated with that terminal. And it's really easy to find if you're not coming via Uber or you're not coming via, a way that somebody knows, where to take you. There's clear signage to follow. But the nice thing about Uber, if you get a driver who's dropped enough people off that morning, they know exactly which terminal to drop you off at so that you can go straight in. And it's really, really stress-free. I highly, highly, highly encourage you to use Uber or some other ride-sharing service like Lyft. Another great thing about Uber is that last time I cruised out of Miami, it was me and two other girls and all of our luggage, and we fit into a BMW. I tried to remember last time. It's like a 325i, you guys. That's like the size of, it's like a BMW's version of like a Honda Civic. Like, that's how small that car is. All three of us fit. When I sat in the front seat, and then our luggage was in the back. I think I had some stuff on my lap, and we had some stuff in the trunk, but it all fit. Now, the nice thing about Uber since then is that they have something called Uber X, where you can actually get an SUV or a van that comes to get you, so you can have some more space. And that's what we're going to do this time around, because it's going to be 4 of us instead of 3 that are in, potentially 4 of us. It might just be 3, I'm not sure. Sharon, no, I wouldn't say that you could walk from the hotel to the port. It's about drive time, and keep in mind, this is going to be Thursday around lunch hour or just before in Miami. It is going to be about, I want to say it's a 10 to 12 minute drive. So yeah, that's a long way to walk, and you're going to get there all sweaty and stuff, and like, you might actually like see a Backstreet Boy up close. Like, I'm just saying, I'm not going to want to be looking like I just ran a marathon the first time I see Kevin this year. I'll be looking fresh to death, guys. You know how I do. I wish I could edit that out, but this is live. So, yeah. But no, I would not say that you could walk from the hotel to the port. I also want to mention this. The last few times that I've stayed at Marriott Biscayne Bay, doesn't matter what time of the year it is, there's a lot of restaurants and there's a lot of stuff to do like around the hotel and stuff to do in the hotel. But like right around the corner, walking distance, there's a Publix, which for those of you who aren't from the South here in the United States, Publix is like the greatest grocery store ever. They make the best sub sandwiches. I have a lot of friends from the North who like, their thing is that they know they're in the South when they see Publix. But they just have like really fresh, like their deli is just awesome. So if you're hungry, but you don't want to spend hotel room service or hotel restaurant or any kind of restaurant in that area money, there's a Publix that's literally walking distance from the hotel. And you can go in there. I've done this before. We've gone in there and stocked up on snacks to have in the room, to have in the cabin.